Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I'm doing my March wrap-up. Quick shout out to my sister who posted about being an adult again and apparently spending an entire day at the mechanics. Why she didn't think to Uber or Lyft to Target and then home, I don't know, but you know, she didn't. But her car is fixed. So check out her blog, which is linked down below and on the screen. It is the cactus with the cactus looking sucker in front of it. That said, let's get into the books. I only read 6-ish books. I'm not actually sure what I read in March, more or less, because I'm not sure what happened to March. But March is gone, it's now April, who knew? And I read approximately 6 books. So I finished Feast, A History of Grand Eating by Roy Strong, and I did a full review for that one, so I will leave that link down below as well. But enough to say, it is a nonfiction about food and feasts and banquets, and I loved it enough to give it a 4.5 stars. Next two I read were The Trials of Morgan Crow and Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. These are books 1 and 2 of a middle grade fantasy series where Morgan, our main character, is 11, or about to turn 11 in the first book. But the problem is she's cursed, so everything bad that happens in the town gets blamed on her, and things go from there. I found this series very whimsical and highly entertaining. You could definitely tell that it was written by somebody with a British vocabulary because they did use words like brawly, which is slang for umbrella in Britain, and I thought that was really funny. It didn't throw me too much because I'm fairly used to that. I go there frequently and I just adore it. But that is something to be aware of. If you don't know the slang, you maybe want to check. At any rate, like I said, these are incredibly whimsical books. They're very fun. I think I gave them both about a 4 out of 5. Then I read The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano by Olaudah Equiano. This is a book written by an African man who was kidnapped and sold off multiple times in the late 1700s, 1750s to the 1780s, I think. He later on became friends with William Wilberforce, there we go, who is an incredibly well-known abolitionist and who helped pass the abolition of the slave trade and then abolition of slavery in Great Britain in 1807 and 1833 respectively. I have been wanting to read this book for a while because there's a movie called Amazing Grace that I absolutely love with Benedict Cumberbatch, and it talks about the abolition of the slave trade and shows a depiction of Olaudah Equiano in it, but I'd never read the book, so I finally read the book. It was a little bit... it felt deceptive. I don't think it was, but it did feel very much so like he was trying to cater to the wishes of the upper white class in saying that, oh, Christianity is actually the right religion and they saved me and they were good to me, because if you take everything that he says at face value, he actually had a decent stint in slavery, which sounds horrible, I know, because slavery is awful no matter which way you slice it. Comparatively though, with the people on the sugar plantations who were just worked to death, he didn't have that experience, and so part of me wondered if maybe the reason his book sold out so fast when he wrote it in the late 1700s was because he pandered almost to the vision of these white people as saviors and helpful and sweet and trying to protect the men and women and children that they had stolen out of Africa. So that was a little bit disheartening almost, but I still enjoyed the book. I think it was a good depiction of that time period, and if you go into it knowing that it's not going to be the most horrific depiction of slavery you've ever read, then you're good. Then I read The King's Assassin, The Secret Plot to Murder King James I by Benjamin Woolley. This was more deceptive, because this one starts out in the flap saying that the Duke of Buckingham tried to kill James I. As it turns out, we don't know that. There might be proof that he tried to kill James I, but if there's proof that he tried to kill James I, technically he did kill James I because he was on his deathbed recovering and then he was killed killed by the Duke of Buckingham. This book kind of pissed me off. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was fascinating to learn more about James the First and his relationship with Buckingham because I know virtually nothing about James the First. He's not my focus. Elizabeth is. She's better. But aside from that, it was interesting to learn more about James and his son Charles and watch how Buckingham became a really good friend and confidant and potentially lover to James and then insinuated himself into Charles's court. It was also entertaining, at least to me, to watch Charles grow up in this and see him as somebody who I know loses his head. I'm like, oh, that's why you lost your head, dude, because you keep saying you don't need Parliament. And it turns out that you very much so do. And then the last book I read in March was How to Behave Badly in Elizabethan England by Ruth Goodman. This book was probably my favorite of the whole month. I gave it 5 out of 5, and I'm planning on rereading it again later this year just to pick up more of the nuances. This went through swear words, oaths, cuss words, because there are nuances between all of them. It went through clothing, specific insults according to your gender, and then what you can tack onto it. It went through how to mock somebody by curtsying or taking off your hat improperly. It went through gestures, if I didn't say that already. It went through everything. It talked about periods and how we don't know anything because women just didn't talk about them. We still don't talk about them, but I really appreciated the fact that Goodman talked about everything under the sun in this book as far as behaving badly, whether that's straight up insulting somebody or whether it's trying to find that line. And what society expected was okay as far as insult or mocking or what led to a duel. So like I said, that was definitely my favorite book. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. But that is all I have for my March wrap up. I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.